Hi everyone, I'm Anita Sharma and you're watching AnewZ live from Baku. Here's what's making news right now. Tensions remain high in Georgia right now after clashes between police and protesters in Tbilisi. Germany's Die Welt says Armenia is helping Russia circumvent sanctions with gold exports. Chad ends its defense pact with France while Senegal calls on French troops to leave. Tensions are running high in Georgia, where riot police used pepper spray and water cannons against protesters in the capital after the government suspended moves to join the European Union until the end of 2028. Hours earlier, EU lawmakers called for last month's parliamentary elections in Georgia to be rerun, citing significant irregularities.
Thousands of pro-European protesters took to the streets in Tbilisi in the early hours of Friday. They're angry with the Georgian government's decision to suspend EU membership negotiations and forego budgetary grants for the next 4 years. The announcement has ignited widespread outrage in a country where 80% of the population supports EU integration, according to an opinion poll.
We are angry. This anger was, I don't know, it was gathering between the people, and now it's the day. Today they decided to end our history, everything what we have achieved for past 30 years, and not only that, for past maybe 100 years. They just decided to end everything today, and we will not let them do it. I don't know. We will not take it anymore. That's today. It should be decided, like who we are, who we were, and where we are going.
Of course we're upset. We're so angry. It's literally beyond embarrassing. What this government is doing to us, it's literally like.
This is really unbelievable. We are teenagers. This is the new generation. I cannot believe. The words cannot describe what is happening today.
This is so disrespectful to our culture, to our people, for everyone around us.
Georgians who fought for years to defeat Russians, and now what is happening?
To become independent. Like, we've done so much to become who we are today.
They attempted to storm the Parliament building and riot police responded with tear gas, water cannons and pepper spray. The Interior Ministry confirmed more than 30 police officers were injured during the protests, with 13 requiring surgical intervention. Meanwhile, 43 protesters were arrested. The country's president, Salome Zurabishvili, condemned the government, accusing it of waging a war on its people and publicly confronting riot police, questioning their loyalty to Georgia or Russia. The Georgian government defends its decision, and it reiterated that Georgia would pursue EU membership on its own terms with the goal of joining the bloc by 2030. Relations between Georgia and the European Union have deteriorated sharply in recent months. Brussels has accused the Georgian government of adopting authoritarian policies and aligning with pro-Russian interests, claims which the government has vehemently denied. Officials have accused the EU of attempting to pressurize Georgia into compliance with foreign demands, labeling it as blackmail. The protests have now spread beyond Tbilisi, with unrest reported in provincial cities, underscoring growing public dissatisfaction.
Now, earlier we spoke with our Tbilisi correspondent, Leila Rahimli, who shared with us some updates on developments from there.
Hello, I am Leila Rahimli reporting from Tbilisi. Georgia is in turmoil following the ruling Georgian Dream Party's decision to halt European Union accession negotiations until 2028, announced Prime Minister Irakli Kabakhidze earlier this week. This decision includes rejecting EU budget support and has provoked nationwide outrage. Yesterday, in Tbilisi, tens of thousands of pro-European demonstrators have taken to the streets, waving EU and Georgian flags and blocking major roads. Initially, protesters gathered in 3 key locations: outside the Parliament, the Georgian Dream headquarters, and the presidential administration. By late evening, the rallies merged into a massive demonstration in front of the Parliament building, turning Rustaveli Avenue into the epicenter of the protests. Shortly after midnight, riot police used tear gas and water cannons against demonstrators, leading to violent clashes. Protesters responded by erecting barricades, some of which were set ablaze. The crackdown continued in the early morning hours, with police detaining dozens of protesters. According to the Minister of Interior, 43 people were arrested and 32 police officers were injured. Reports indicate several journalists covering the protests were also detained or injured. And also few demonstrators threw fireworks at the police, while some attempts to smash metal barrier outside of Parliament. President Salome Zurabishvili has joined the protesters, calling for new elections and declaring herself the only legitimate authority in the country. Greeted with chants of her name, she urged opposition leaders to unite and accused the government of turning away from Europe. Protests have also spread to major cities like Batumi, Kutaisi, Gori and Zugdidi, with thousands demanding a return to Georgia's European path. Demonstrators here in Tbilisi continue to call from the government's resignation, chanting, "We choose Europe." The EU, which had already frozen Georgia's membership application, blames the Georgian Dream Party for the deterioration of the democratic institutions, citing election irregularities, voter intimidation and media interference. Meanwhile, Kabakhidze has defended his party's decision, claiming Georgia remains committed to EU integration but will proceed on its own terms as a proud and self-respecting nation. The EU ambassador to Georgia, Pavel Herchisky, said 27 EU member states is scheduled for December 16 at the Foreign Affairs Council meeting. We have been talking about this for many months. Among these options is also the issue of suspending the visa-free regime for Georgia, but this will be discussed and decided by 27 EU countries together. The situation here is more tense than ever. Some universities in Georgia are temporarily suspending their educational process, and protests are expected to be held again today around 7 o'clock on local time. And this is the latest updates for now.
Well, the situation in Tbilisi continues to escalate. Just moments ago, we received another update from Layla. As you can see, protests are ongoing, with police trying to prevent the demonstration from spreading. The large crowd gathered in the center of the Georgian capital, and it seems likely that Tbilisi may face yet another difficult night. We also have reports of shots being fired. Of course, we will keep you updated on the latest developments from Tbilisi, Georgia. To Kazakhstan now, the Collective Security Treaty Organization summit held in Astana led to the signing of 14 documents. Leaders of Russia, Belarus, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, and Tajikistan agreed, amongst other things, on a program to reinforce the Tajik-Afghan border, saying they remain committed to establishing a peaceful Afghanistan free from military conflict, terrorism, and drug trafficking. The next CSTO summit is scheduled for next year in Kyrgyzstan. According to Die Welt, Armenia has seen a sharp rise in its gold imports from Russia since 2022, becoming a major intermediary in the global gold trade. After oil and gas, gold is Russia's third most important export. Over the past 2.5 years, the vast majority of it has gone through Armenia. Data from Armenia's Customs Service shows that last year, through the first half of this year, Armenia imported $4.4 billion U.S. worth of gold, most of which was from Russia. During the same period, Armenia shipped $4.1 billion U.S. worth of gold. Data from the Federal Customs Service of Russia confirms that from 2022 to 2024, Armenia purchased $5.2 billion U.S. worth of gold, or 89 tons. The discrepancy between Russian and Armenian customs data can be attributed to the differences in the timing of transactions and the way they're reported in each country. Expert Gary Cartwright says Armenia must be careful.
I would have thought that it would be in the best interests of Armenia, as in any country, to get out of the Russian sphere as far as possible. Putin still holds, I think, to the old Soviet doctrine of what we have, we hold. He's not going to let one of his client states go as easily as that. No way. He is choreographing everything that Armenia does. Nobody should make any mistake about that. If he's got a clear idea of the trajectory he wants, where he wants to take Armenia, he will have to do whatever it takes. Armenia is not powerful enough. It's not big enough. It's not rich enough to call the shots.
Syrian rebel forces led by Hayat Tahrir al-Sham group launches its large-scale offensive in northwestern Syria, targeting government-held areas in the provinces of Aleppo and Idlib.
Syrian armed groups led by Hayat Tahrir al-Sham have launched a large-scale offensive in northwestern Syria, targeting government-held areas in Aleppo and Idlib provinces. The offensive began near Aleppo, where opposition forces have seized several villages, including al-Kubra and Jarrah and Gubtan al-Jabal. A strategic military base known as the 46th Regiment was also captured. In Idlib, the fighting is expanded towards Saragib, a critical town near the M5 highway which connects major cities. Reportedly, government forces backed by Russian airstrikes are attempting to repel the attacks. The violence has displaced thousands of families, with at least 18 civilian deaths reported following airstrikes on 2 villages in western Aleppo.
Chad's government says it has ended its defense cooperation pact with France in a move that could see about 1,000 French troops leave the Central African country. Chad's foreign ministry says the country wants to fully assert its sovereignty after more than 6 decades of independence. It believes this would help redefine its strategic partnerships. Chad also hosts numerous warplanes and other types of military equipment. France has already pulled its troops from Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso. In West Africa, Senegal's president tells France to close its military base in the country. That's according to reports. Bassirou Faye says Senegal does not accept the presence of a foreign military base on its territory, as it's been independent since 1960. Right now, there are approximately 350 French troops in its former colony, mainly in a supportive role. Faye says they remain open to an economic partnership with France. French President Emmanuel Macron stirred controversy at the G20 summit in Rio de Janeiro, calling Haitians, quote, completely foolish after a Haitian delegate criticized France for the country's ongoing crises.
At the G20 summit in Rio de Janeiro, French President Emmanuel Macron faced backlash for his comments about Haiti. Responding to criticism linking France to Haiti's political and economic struggles, Macron claimed that Haiti's challenges stem from internal issues. He referenced the removal of former Prime Minister Gary Conil, saying, "I defended him and they removed him," adding that Haiti's problems are self-inflicted.
Allow me to deeply congratulate and thank the Baku Initiative Group for taking advantage of the surprising COP29 to address the issue of decolonization, following the declaration by Macron, President of the French Republic, on this topic. France, currently governed by Macron, was a colonizer for centuries. This historical reminder allows us to analyze the negative effects of colonialism and neo-colonialism. In fact, neo-colonialism is an ideology that reforms the process of colonization. It illegitimately forces elements that benefit from the colonial empire, such as those who remain on colonized territories, leading to political domination and economic exploitation.
Haiti declared independence in 1804 after a brutal revolution, but was forced to pay reparations to France. The payments, adjusted to modern value, amount to 40 billion euros, leaving the nation economically dependent for over a century. France has consistently avoided discussions of reparations, and Macron's remarks have reignited debates about the lingering impact of colonialism.
Thousands of supporters of the Jewish community rallied in Amsterdam, protesting against the alarming rise of anti-Semitism in the Netherlands. The rally, organized by Christians for Israel and other supporters, has become a powerful symbol of unity and resistance against hatred. The gathering comes after numerous reports of attacks, graffiti defacing synagogues and institutions, as well as anti-Semitic chants at protests. Many people say they feel vulnerable. Security measures have now tightened at Jewish schools, synagogues, and cultural centers. Portugal's Antonio Costa is ready to lead the European Council as its new president. During a handover ceremony in Brussels, he emphasized unity and called for peace in Ukraine.
Antonio Costa officially assumes his role as EU Council President on the 1st of December. At the handover ceremony, the former Portuguese Prime Minister received a ceremonial bell from outgoing President Charles Michel, marking the start of his term. In his address, Costa pledged to work daily to strengthen unity among member states while respecting Europe's diversity. He also delivered a strong message on Ukraine, calling for a peace that is just, lasting and rooted in international law. Costa, who led Portugal for 8 years, steps into this role amid challenges such as rising far-right movements across Europe. Despite controversies during his term as Prime Minister, Costa denied any wrongdoing and now begins his term focused on breaching divisions in a fragmented Europe.
That's all from our team. Thank you so much for watching ANewZ. Please stay up to date by visiting our website, anewz.tv. Bye for now.